Budget and Finance Committee will come to order, please. First item on the agenda is RS 2015-32. Councilman O'Connell and Pridemore sponsors. Authorize the Director of Public Property to exercise an option to purchase 5 parcels of property located on Anthos Drive from the Park System. Do I have a motion? Motion duly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none. In the queue, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2015-35, Pridemore and Pardue sponsors, approves a contract between Metro Government and Wigeon Incorporated to provide supplies for the Metro Police Department. Do I have a motion? Motion duly seconded. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2015-36, Pridemore and Pardue, the sponsors, approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Metro Police Department and the Cookeville Police Department for the distribution of $26,000 of state grant funds to assist with investigations of internet crimes against children. Motion. Duly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2015-37, Pridemore and Pardue, the sponsors, approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Metro Police Department and the Dixon County Sheriff's Office for the distribution of $25,000 of state grant funds to assist with investigations of internet crimes against children. Duly seconded. Seeing any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2015-38, Pridemore and Pardue, the sponsor, approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Metro Police Department and the Knoxville Police Department regarding participation in the Internet Crimes Against Children's Task Force. Do I have a motion? Motion been duly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2015-39 approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Metro Police Department and the Tennessee Association of Chiefs of Police for distribution of $10,000 of state grant funds to assist with investigations of internet crimes against children. Duly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2015-40, Pridemore and Pardue sponsors, approves a $15,900 highway safety grant from the State Department of Transportation to the Davidson County Sheriff's Office to undertake alcohol countermeasure highway safety projects. Duly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2015-41, Pridemore and Pardue, the sponsors, approves a contract between the State Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services and the Nashville Fire Department to pay for emergency transportation services. Motion and duly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2015-42, Pridemore and Murphy, the sponsors, accepts an incentive grant from the State Department of Labor and Workforce Development to the Nashville Career Advancement Center to use incentive funds to establish programs meant to prepare eligible service recipients for employment. I have a motion. Duly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2015-43, Syracuse, Pridemore and Henderson's a sponsor, accepts a Friends of Two Rivers Mansion grant through the Metro Parks and Recreation Department to provide $646.24 funding for 2 part-time employees' salaries to provide tours at Two Rivers Mansion during the 2015 Christmas season. Duly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Bills on second reading. approves a master agreement between Metro Government and Merrill Lynch Commodities Incorporated for the purpose of stabilizing the net expense incurred in the purchase of gasoline and/or diesel fuel. Do I have a motion? Motion duly seconded. In discussion, Council Lady Allen. Stand by.
Thank you. I understand we already have one contract, and this is sort of an extra one, but can y'all just explain it again, what this adds to what we already have?
Mr. Riebling?
Councilor Allen, yes. Well, as you know, we've had a fuel hedging program in place for several years, and we did that by going out for contracting. We basically had one firm, one provider of the counterparty on the hedge, which was Fifth Third Bank. Because of change in some federal law and some federal securities regulations, we were required to basically have a financial advisor to help us on any future agreements we had. We went through an RFP process and chose First Southwest, who are also our advisor on for bonds. And at their advice, they've recommended that we add other financial institutions to the group of firms with which we would get quotes from when we want to go involved into a new swap. So the whole idea is being a new hedge, rather. So the whole idea would be that we would have more people at the table, we'd get more proposals in, and ultimately get hopefully a better price going forward than we're currently. Maybe not that we've had bad deals before, but at least have a better check on the marketplace to make sure we had competition.
Councilman Glover.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Riebling, I think you may have answered the question there. So some of the, and for those who are new on the council, we did this several years ago, and we've saved a lot of money by doing this. Did I hear you just say that we're actually going to try and renegotiate some of the hedging contracts we already had? Did I understand that correctly?
No, it would be for future
Only
hedges.
for future. Okay.
Only for future.
And the ones that we had at present, how much longer do we have on those, given the pricing of gas and diesel both are at historical lows for, the last decade?
We have a new gas, gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Tom Edelman sitting back there. Tom, we have new gas, help me out, Tom.
Step right up to the table there.
Current contracts expire in June of 16, and we have one contract in place for FY17 for $1.50 a gallon for gasoline. But we'll be doing some more over the next few months before we get into budget.
And will we continue to have, and I don't know who I need to direct this to, but will we continue to have metropolitan government, and I think it was the city of Franklin?
Yes.
And will it continue?
The parties
will that relationship stay?
Schools, MTA,
Schools.
City of Franklin, and general government are the parties to this agreement. But Metro is the party, and then we internally participate out their percentage of the agreement.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Seeing no others in the queue, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Bill 2015-34, Councilman Withers as sponsors, approves an option agreement between Metro Government and the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Foundation, Incorporated, and authorizing the granting of a conservation easement on a portion of property owned by Metro located at 2009 Sevier Street. Do I have a duly seconded? Councilman Withers, would you like to say anything?
I'd like to thank everyone for your support of this bill. This was a pleasant surprise. A lot of people in East Nashville and friends of Shelby Park in particular have worked on this a long time. This is an outstanding opportunity to utilize a grant that will really increase the natural features of this asset, and thank you all for your support.
Thank you. Seeing no others in the queue, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2015-35, Councilman Roden, Pridemore, and Henderson as sponsors, approves a supplemental agreement between Metro Government and the Secretary of State of Army pertaining to the Percy Priest Dam and Reservoir Project. Do I have a motion? Duly seconded. No discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. We do have one item that we need to take up. It's a anticipated late filing item. It's being referred to us. It's concerning that will be filed tomorrow evening for asking for a suspension of the rules. But it improves a grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to the Office of Family Safety to implement a civil legal advocacy program for order of protection hearings and improve the substance and quality of presentations. I guess what is Diane Lance, Ms. Lance, if you would just come up before we actually even take a motion, I'd just like for you to kind of describe what we're dealing with here, please.
Okay, happy to. Thank you. So I'm Diane Lance, the department head for the Office of Family Safety, and we wrote a grant back in the spring. It's an arrest grant with the Department of Justice, Office of Violence Against Women. And in our grant, it contained 3 specific programs that we were looking to implement. And those programs were things that were in furtherance of the mayor's domestic violence safety and accountability audit that was released in 2013. So the first program that was just described is the Civil Legal Advocate Program, and you all approved a couple weeks ago a STOP grant to do the same thing. That is a part-time subcontract with legal aid. This is the other half of that to make it a full-time project that legal aid would subcontract. So make it a more vibrant volunteer lawyer program to represent petitioners on the order of protection dockets. The second component is a full-time training coordinator. We had a STOP grant last year for a part-time training coordinator. That STOP grant ended, and now this would be a full-time training coordinator to develop a curriculum of domestic violence and sexual assault trainings for Metro government, its employees, and our nonprofit partners. And then the third component of this, and the last component, is a lethality assessment protocol that's considered a national best practice of having patrol go out to the scene and put victims on with crisis counselors that they meet a certain threshold of lethality risk indicators. And so we would like to do that in Nashville. The state is working on a statewide initiative, and this would support a position for that. So it would be 3 full-time positions with 1 being subcontracted. And it's a $706,400, and I can't remember the last bit of that, $1,000 grant over a 3-year period.
Okay, on this resolution that we're planning on taking up tomorrow, there is one item that we need to discuss, and that is there is one section that is part of the grant that we will not be voting on, or
Yes, sir. There is some special conditions that the Office of Violence Against Women put in there. And special condition number 48, they should not have put that in our grant award. So I've been back and forth with them today and just got an email back from them about 15 minutes ago saying in the email that the award should not have been processed as a blueprint project, which is what that 48 was. And it does not apply to Nashville, Davidson County, and they're going to work to remove that tomorrow officially on their system so they can revise the form for us to insert.
okay. So I guess to get a better understanding of that, I'm going to ask finance maybe. Tell you, is there any way that you can explain that end of it?
Can you repeat it, please? Which end of it?
I guess the amount's going to be the same, but there's a section, that 48, that's
Yes.
not going to be part of the actual grant.
Yes, the amounts and the program and her particular program outcomes, all of those remain intact, to my knowledge.
Yes.
And the funding remains intact, and it's essentially just the deletion of that single clause.
Okay. Thank you, Director. Councilman Glover for discussion. Hold on. Okay.
Thank you. I feel like, if we don't vote on this now, obviously, this is the first I'm hearing of it, and I'm not saying that I won't support it, but why all of a sudden a late file resolution, or, is this not something that could have waited till the next council meeting, next budget and finance committee meeting?
Well, I think originally it was due to the fact that the grant was already operated. It started in October, and due to a server error, I may be putting words in your mouth.
So we the federal government posted or sent an email out notifying Davidson County of the award of this grant, and that was done on the exact same day that my department transitioned out of the mayor's office, and we switched from .gov to JIS, and we did have some email difficulties, and we believe the email came through on that date when we look at when they said they sent it, and it probably was lost. Our department on a weekly basis made calls to OVW and sent emails and never received a reply when we asked on the status of this grant. And honestly, we were reaching the point that we thought we just did not receive the grant. And then we received a second notification from them last week, and then we just didn't want to leave any monies on the table. Every week that passes is salary money for a potential employee that we could be using in this grant. And so we thought we'd send it before you all in hopes that we could get it moving.
Okay, so that's fine. I just, like I said, the first that I'm hearing of this, and so with regards, I guess, tell me if we pass this in committee with 48 still being in play. I mean, what does that do? By tomorrow, 48 is going to be removed. How does this work, John?
Sure. The rules will have to be suspended tomorrow night. So there's technically no requirement that this committee make a recommendation on the late resolution. Tomorrow night, if that condition has not been officially removed, then the rules would not be suspended and it would not go forward. But Ms. Lance has confirmation from the federal government this afternoon that yes, that was an error, we're going to take care of it. So assuming we get the actual documentation tomorrow, then it could go forward. Okay. Otherwise, it would wait 2 more weeks.
Okay, so then in that case, then I'll move approval. And then let me just make sure I understand this, John. We move approval, it's second, and if we pass it here, if they come tomorrow, if that 48 has not been removed, then there will not be a suspension of the rules.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I move approval.
I have do we need to have in the motion that's without 48? That'd be part of the motion? Yeah, okay. So
then I move adoption with removal of Rule 48 or Section 48, however it's coded.
duly seconded. Mr. Councilman Mendez. Do we have Hold on. There.
Do we have a fiscal note for this? Are we sure there's...
It's a no-match grant, so it's just all federal funds. It would be no Metro obligation monetarily.
Thank you.
Seeing no others in the queue, all in favor of the motion with accepting the late resolution with the exception of item number 48 on the grant. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Councilman Glover.
Chair, this is not on the agenda, and it's really, I don't know that it's a question necessarily, but I've talked with Mr. Jameson today, and I feel like probably this is the committee to ask this question in. And I think, Mr. Riebling, I'm going to direct this to you. Given Amendment 3 and its passing with a solid majority, and also given the current opinions, example being the executive branch of Metro government versus the Attorney General's opinion for the state of Tennessee, what is a realistic timeline for implementing Amendment 3 within Metro government? I know I read in the paper that maybe March 1st. Is that kind of what we're heading towards, or where are we with regards to Amendment 3?
So you saved up your good questions for me, I see, for this. Thank you. I want to start by thanking you, Councilman, for this honor. I appreciate it. No. I don't have an exact time frame for it yet. There has been some that suggest it defer as late as March. I'm not suggesting that's the right time frame. The mayor had a meeting earlier today with a number of interested parties, people representing contractors, representatives of NOAA, representatives of various labor unions, and ordinary citizens to talk about the Amendment 3, with the thought being perhaps over the next several weeks we could have a series of meetings they could have and see if we could reach some consensus on how to implement this, with the goal being looking for ways in which we could increase employment opportunities, training programs, and things of that nature, which I think were the real purposes behind what the promoters of this amendment were really seeking. And rather than getting bogged down in all the word and the language, let's see if we can't reach agreement on some of the goals first and then figure out where we are on the language. So I would, in fact, I have not talked to legal since that meeting, but I think, I think maybe the end of the year, early next year would be the earliest before it would be implemented.
Okay, so the March 1st, what we're reading, because we're reading the paper, obviously, so the March 1st is probably, by then, is a realistic timeline.
I would think no later than, if not sooner.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Last note, we have, of course, I think you all noticed we have a new face sitting to my right. Our counsel is Mr. Jameson, Mike Jameson. Today was his first day on the job, and we just want to officially welcome him and looking forward to working with him. And with that, we stand adjourned.
John, you got a great